Welcome back, adventurer. This week's creatures have been described as the smelliest werewolf, a witch with a pair of very strong legs, and the most terrifying sound you'll ever hear. So come, pull up a stool at Creature Tavern. Hello, you. Great to have your company once more. Have a seat and pick a drink from the board as we get into today's first creature, Old Stinker, from Yorkshire Folklore. Old Stinker, also known by some as the Werewolf of Yorkshire, the Hull Werewolf, or the Beast of Barmsden Drain. But the name you'll hear the most is Old Stinker, appropriately named for its notoriously foul breath. Some call it necrotic, and link this unmistakable scent to its disturbing habit of digging up graves and consuming the dead. The earliest recorded accounts of Old Stinker trace all the way back to the 12th century, but in my research I managed to find quite a few accounts of the beast from much earlier, in 2015 and 2016. Seems Old Stinker had one hell of a nap, but now he's all rested up. On May 15th, 2006, a woman told an English newspaper of her encounter with Old Stinker. She said, "It was stood upright one moment, the next it was down on all fours, running like a dog. I was terrified." She adds, "It bounded along on all fours, then stopped, reared up on its back legs before running down an embankment towards the water. It vaulted 30 foot over to the other side and vanished up the embankment and over a wall into some allotments." Another account says a couple saw, quote, "something tall and hairy eating a German shepherd next to the drain. They stopped to get a closer look and saw it jump an 8-foot high fence before vanishing into the night, its prey still locked in its jaws." And a woman walking her dog spotted something she called half man, half dog in the distance. And the last encounter I could find claims that she saw the creature while driving to get some pizza with her friend. The friend, who'd been sitting in the back seat, pointed out what he assumed to be a fox. But when she looked out her window, what she saw was less woodland fox and more monster. A dog-like creature, covered in, quote, "cream and grey fur," was walking on its hind legs right toward her car. She described the approaching horror as standing taller than her car, and even more disturbingly, it possessed a human face. These accounts are all good at drawing up a quick sketch of the beast, but here at Creature Tavern, we like a little more detail. And it just so happens I've got everything you need, and from a helpful band of werewolf hunters. They say Old Stinker's typically set at a towering 8 foot, and covered in a coarse, shaggy fur. The exact colour remains a mystery, but going off Old Stinker's nocturnal nature, environment, and those eyewitness testimonies, it's most often assumed to be a dark grey, brown, or near black. And of course there was that one witness earlier who claimed a cream grey design. It maintains that typical digigrade stance, where it walks on elongated toes like a house cat, dog, or, unsurprisingly, a wolf, causing a forward-leaning posture to develop. Now that ain't going to be any good for the creature's back, but it sure helps to cast a threatening silhouette. All 4 limbs are long and muscular. The arms stretch up to around 60 inches or 5 foot, ending in a frightening 5-fingered fist, tipped with curved nails that some folks refer to as claws, sharp enough to slice through hide or even mild metals. Its legs, long and large, clearly adapted to power, and ending in a rather handy tail. Formidable and long, they say, and impressive enough to to sweep prey off their feet. The musculature of Old Stinker is extreme, particularly in the shoulders and arms, supported by increased bone density and an expanded thoracic cavity to accommodate the new internal supernatural systems that keep the beast moving. These internal adaptations include enlarged cardiac and respiratory systems for stamina, as well as a new specialised gastrointestinal tract, now favouring the rapid digestion of protein and fat, optimised for a purely carnivorous, arguably cannibalistic diet. Circulatory efficiency improves, supporting accelerated wound repair, and an immune system operating well above human baseline, allowing for remarkable regenerative capacity following any sort of trauma. The eyes glow a blood red, described as crimson like darting fire, and its teeth are specialised for tearing meat, featuring large fangs and cutting molars. The jaw undergoes massive hypertrophy during transformation, giving it an impressively strong bite. The ears elongate and become upright, and in most accounts, the face stretches into a wolf-like muzzle. However, some modern sightings, like one of the ones you just heard earlier, claim a more unsettling variation, and that's where it gets a little weird. Those accounts keep the overall werewolf build, a great big furry beast that stands upright, but instead of a wolf snout, as you heard earlier, that face remains altogether human. But Old Stinker's most infamous trait is his breath, reeking of decay and death, likely as a result from all the rotted flesh caught between his teeth. Old Stinker's legend is rooted in the ancient folklore of East Yorkshire, particularly around the area known as the Walled Newton Triangle. Though recent accounts place Old Stinker in East Riding of Yorkshire, usually around Beverley and Barmsdale Drain, west of the River Hull. That's a drainage channel, originally built to dry out salt marshes. Though I did find plenty of evidence to suggest Old Stinker can be seen all around the maritime city of Hull, prowling around derelict industrial areas or graveyards. Sometimes he even appears to have seasonal favourability, for Christmas of all things, although I couldn't find out why. Now, like most werewolves, Old Stinker transforms from human to beast shape during the full moon, and primarily at night, allowing him to hunt under a blanket of darkness. He's also said to exhibit both predatory and scavenger behaviours, attacking livestock, travellers and pets, like that unfortunate German shepherd from earlier, while also showing a particular fondness for the already dead. His favourite pastime is feeding in graveyards. Like humans, it seems Old Stinker isn't always up for cooking his own meal. And who can blame him, with such tasty jerky buried beneath his feet? This diet switch does come with a price, mind. His signature foul breath. Necrotic mouth air so putrid, you're said to smell it before you see him, creating this almost rancid warning for any souls near. His presence alone is said to paralyse animals and humans alike, with dogs in particular reacting to the terror. The creature possesses supernatural physical abilities too. The newly upgraded and finely tuned wolf physique allows for both sustained speed and endurance. He's also said to have incredible strength, durability, and agility. Remember that vertical 30-foot leap mentioned earlier? For mere humans, the world record stands at 5 foot. And that'll help put things into perspective for you. The bite force is also said to surpass that of any large domestic canine, and it wasn't specified if that was for the wolf muzzle variant alone. And I have to say, a human face with a bite force stronger than any dog. Honestly, that's something I'd like to see. and that makes old Stinker lethal in combat or when subduing any of his prey. The beast's senses too grow exceptionally acute, giving it enhanced sight, hearing, and smell. With improved night vision, ideal for its second favourite pastime, nocturnal hunting. Folks who know of the creature say he's also rather good at stealth. Formidable even. Capable of approaching targets silently. And while it may not possess full human intelligence, Old Stinker has been recorded displaying cunning beyond that of the common quadrupedal wolf, employing strategy and patience when following its targets. So how can a mere adventurer like yourself protect against such a sleek machine of predatory design? Well, don't sell yourself short. With your wits and my tips, you'll have Old Stinker where you want him in no time. Most obviously, it never hurts to have a little silver handy. Nothing says this will directly work on Old Stinker, but he is a werewolf, so you should be good. Silver is known to disrupt lycanthropic biology, so use it as a weapon. Give him a few jabs with a tipped spear, or coated knuckles. Or if you'd rather take a less violent approach, wield it as a necklace too. That'll help weaken the wolfman's form. You could also burn some dried wolfsbane, especially if you burn it, say, around the perimeter of a tavern. That'll protect you and anything else inside the circle from a physical encounter. But you will still suffer the smell. So you could wear some in a pouch to help fight the odour and protect from wolf attacks. Mind, I've heard wolfsbane smells a lot like raw roots or decaying vegetation, so it does look like you're smelling decayed something with this encounter. If you don't fancy smelling the stuff, try get some into its diet or bloodstream. That'll weaken the beast. And if you're okay with a little grave desecration, stuff some in one of his dried human snacks. And lastly, if you can find the human counterpart, just go ahead and take him out. They'll be just as weak as any regular meat bag. Now all this talk of dried meats has got me hankering for some jerky. Do you fancy a little? There you are, my favourite listener. Thanks for listening to episode 17 of Creature Tavern. Hope this one isn't too much of a stinker for you. Get it? Old Stinker? Man, it's jokes like these that keep the fans rolling in. Why don't you let me know your joke? Just the one, by posting about the show using the hashtag Creature Tavern on X or Blue Sky. Doing so will mean I get one new joke to read, and there's also a chance your name will feature on the show. You could be a witch's fart, or maybe it's a smelly ghost. Either way, you'll be able to proudly proclaim that your name featured on a podcast no one's ever heard of. And if you're joining us on YouTube, leave a comment, and you too could feature as a smelly apparition. If you're vibing with what I'm putting down here, then help the show out by telling a friend or family member. That would be pretty cool of you. Now that's about enough intermission for now. So wash your hands, buy that drink, and let's get you back to the tavern. Here you go, adventurer. It'll be 2 coin. And no, I won't tell you what it is. Let's just say it walks on 2 legs. Now while you come to terms with that, fancy hearing of our second creature for the week? Baba Yaga, from Slavic Folklore. Baba Yaga, also known as the Slavic crone, is one of 3 sisters sharing the same name. The first written mention of her appears in Mikhail V. Lomonosov's Russian grammar book in 1755. She is commonly painted as a hag or crone, though in some traditions she appears as a benevolent old woman who aids the heroes of the land. Scholars who've stopped by for a pint or two suggest she may be a Slavic counterpart of the Greek goddess Persephone, connecting her to spring, nature, the elements, and the cycles of life and death. And this hints at her origins as a more divine figure, rather than the witch she's most frequently seen as today. For her name, linguistically, Baba means grandmother or old woman. In Serbo-Croatian, Macedonian, Romanian, and Bulgarian, while in modern Polish and Russian, it can also carry pejorative connotations for a woman that's old, dirty, or foolish. No one seems to know what the Yaga part means. Some scholars explored the possibilities of it meaning anger, horror, legendary evil female, witch, disease, and exploit, among many others, but a direct translation has never been confirmed. Baba Yaga is widely recognised for her grotesque and unsettling set of physical features. She's said to have dishevelled hair, an incredibly long, hooked nose, so long in fact, it's said she could reach the ceiling of our hut with it when lying down. Long bony fingers, skeletal frail limbs, iron, or by some, tusked teeth, and rather hairy hands. Her body also features what folks, not me, folks, describe as a few repulsive elements, such as her breasts, buttocks, and lower region. And when not talked of in this repulsively hideous motion, she's said to come across deceptively human-like, emphasizing the role she plays as both threatening and liminal. Perhaps the most iconic element is her mobile home, or hut to be exact, typically standing on two enormous chicken legs, roughly 2 stories high, though some accounts substitute this foul feature for a parade of equally unusual alternatives, including goat legs, iron stilts, spider legs, roots, or skeletal human legs. And there's rarer stories still that depict her hut with hands, claws, a tail, or most disturbingly, more than 2 legs. Now that you know to look out for a pair of giant animal legs, let's talk more about the hut itself. It'd be mighty embarrassing if you tracked down a walking hut, only to find it wasn't the Baba Yaga's. Lore says the hut's a small wooden house, often appearing like a typical Russian izba, that's log cabin, complete with thatched or shingled roof, a lovely little crooked chimney, and small glowing windows that give off a faint, warming hue. But unlike regular huts that match this calm country description, the Baba Yaga's goes a little sideways. You see, it's said that surrounding the hut is a fence made entirely of sharpened human bones with skulls set atop, often with a missing post reserved for her next victim. And at night, well, the skulls glow with a lovely blue or green flame, illuminating her grim perimeter. The walls are also said to be adorned with carvings of skulls, bones, ruins and charms, to give the place that homely supernatural feel. The doors and gates are sometimes said to be crafted from human skin, framed with bones, locked and bolted with human teeth and jawbones, and of course hinged with skeletal arms. Oh, and that quaint cottage-style thatched roof. Well, by some stories, that's said to be human hair. Yeah, it sounds kind of terrifying. But if it helps keep the heat in, I might just have to ask where she gets the hair from. Baba Yaga holds strong ties with the forests and woods, so you'll find this towering cottagecore nightmare wandering deep in areas that fit this description. The taiga forests of Russia, Polish and Belarusian woodlands, the Carpathian mountains that range across Ukraine, Slovakia and southern Poland, the Ural mountain forests, and the Czech and Slavic dark woods are all good places to start. So make sure you mark them on your map. There was one other location said to house the Baba Yaga, but you'll not find it on any map. Some say she dwells in faraway Sardom, an unidentified realm of East Slavic folklore. Lore says, beyond the thrice 9 kingdoms, in the 13th realm, beyond the fiery river, lives the Baba Yaga. Now, regardless of which territory you decide to visit, she won't be easily found. Her hut's in constant motion, so prepare yourself for a long trek. Much like her appearance, her behaviour shifts through a few different settings, oscillating between a ruthless predator, cunning trickster, and at times, reluctant guide. Those who seek her out often do so for her immense wisdom, but any encounter with her results in a surprise test of survival, willpower, and cunning. She's a man-eater, or more accurately, a child-eater, notorious for stealing, cooking, and gobbling up her victims. Her favourite's children, but she's also partial to those who trespass in her domain, or show disrespect to her in any way. And that appetite is legendary. Heard from folks that say she enjoys frying her victims before consumption. Seems old Stinker ain't the only one with a favourite way to prepare his human meat. If you're unfortunate, I'm not sure which, but to have a meeting with Baba Yaga, it's rarely straightforward. Entry into her hut, if granted, and we'll get to that, initiates a series of grueling trials that blend physical tasks with what can only be described as psychological warfare. These trials include cleaning her hut, sorting heaps of grain mixed with dirt, weaving linen, fetching water from a deadly source, bringing fire without being burned, caring for her definitely not dangerous animals and magical garden, or answering riddles about fate, courage, or magic. And each one of these tasks must be complete in a single night. As you can guess, her cruelty lies in the impossible nature of these tasks. She fully expects you to fail these trials, and it isn't always as simple as a house chore. Sometimes, she's said to force her visitors into confronting their deepest, darkest fears. Others, you're tasked with eating a strange meal. Now, this one doesn't sound too bad until you hear of rumours that say this free grub often contains human flesh or other unidentified horrifying components. Reacting badly or refusing will result in death. The hut may also force visions of past guilt, loved ones in peril, or disturbing nightmares. And these tests help Baba Yaga measure your will, compassion, and ability to withstand unexpected horrors. It ain't going to be a walk in the park, but success brings magical rewards, vital advice, or safe passage. And yes, I did say or. For all your trouble, you only get to choose one. As well as a taskmaster, Baba Yaga possesses extraordinary nasal perception, or ENP for short. This ENP allows her to identify visitors by scent alone, even discerning their country of origin. Maybe it's your cologne, or maybe she can smell your jeans. Oh, and wait till you hear this. If you weren't already captured by her frying kids and demented riddles, Baba Yaga has quite the unique method of travel. She ain't always sat in her hut as it trundles about. Sometimes she needs something with a little more speed. And that's when she heads to the skies, soaring around in a massive wooden mortar. And steering the beast with the pestle, of course, while sweeping away any tracks she's left with a broom. Talk about stealth. In some versions, she swaps the pestle and mortar for an iron kettle. Couldn't find out how she steers that one, mind. In either vessel, her flight is said to create violent tempests in her wake. And the pestle, by the way, that doubled as a weapon. So prepare yourself for that. Probably still better than a great big iron kettle ramming into you. And speaking of her hut, let's head back there for a second. The Izbushka na Kirk Nozkak, or Hut and Chicken Legs, is arguably as famous as the owner. The hut's alive and impressively obedient, able to walk, spin, or flee from intruders without direct command. If you encounter the hut, you'll likely notice it turns its back to you till you utter the correct passphrase. Now here's where you gain entry. And I've also got some good news. I managed to find a few of these commands. But bad news, I couldn't say which is the working one. So here's your options. Hut, hut. Turn your back to the forest and your front to me. Hut on chicken legs. Turn to me your face, and to the forest your back. Stand still, little hut. Let me enter. And in some versions, you must knock 3 times before you recite the command. So make sure you got note of those. And a fair bit of warning here. Failure to give the correct command will result in the hut denying entry and walking off. If you're lucky. If you've caught the hut on a bad day, folks say they're known to attack, try stomping you to death, or lure you deeper into the forest before legging it, leaving you hopelessly lost. If you get the combo correct and find your way inside, then it's also a pretty bad experience, as escape is nearly impossible without Baba Yaga's consent or aid of a magical item or creature. Once the door's locked, you're stuffed. You could try to blow the bloody doors off. It's only wood, bone and human skin after all. But in this form, they're said to be indestructible. So good luck with that. You're going to need an almighty bang. And Baba Yaga's domain extends beyond that hut, and even her own powers. She's known to command 3 mystical riders. The White Rider, Red Rider, and Black Rider. Each one personifying a unique state and rotation. Dawn, noon, and night. They only appear at their respective times of day, mounted on horses and clad in garments matching their title colour. They're not hostile. They serve as timekeepers and messengers for Baba Yaga, often as signals for her trials, warning that you're reaching the near last sands of day. So you better finish that questionably chunky soup, and quick. She refers to them as my bright dawn, my red sun, and my dark night. No, not that dark night. Lastly, and to end here on a short point, turns out Baba Yaga is sometimes depicted as accompanying death on their travels. Do with that what you will. Baba Yaga is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful creatures I think we've spoken of here in the tavern. Not only that, but she's got a garage of sick rides, and she's mates with death. I bet you think you're scuppered with this one. Well, not while you've got me on your side, as I've managed to cobble together a good few tips and tricks to help you should you come face to foul with this legend. One story I managed to uncover speaks of a horn that summons the firebird from Slavic folklore, and I'd strongly suggest you find it before embarking on your journey. In this tale, a man possessing the horn blows it to summon the firebird while inside the witch's hut. The firebird tells the man, named Ivan, to hop on its back or Baba Yaga will eat him. Ivan does so, and Baba Yaga rushes him and grabs the firebird by its tail. The firebird manages to leave with Ivan, leaving Baba Yaga behind with nothing but a fistful of firebird feathers. So if you need a quick escape, make sure you've got that horn. Or for something a little simpler, just show a little respect, and you're likely to survive. Maybe. And these tales weren't very common, but there was at least one of an adventurer who managed to play Baba Yaga at her own game. So if you're cunning enough, you might be able to turn the tables. Oh, how the turntables. Now, I don't know about you, but today's creatures keep making me hungry. I fancy something a little fried now. Let's see what the cook can whip up. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Lovely to see you again. Well, I've got you. If you're enjoying your time here, could you click that lovely little subscribe button? Go on. It'll be fun. Don't know till you try. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere polar pattern polecats make their dens. Just search for Creature Tavern. And since you're in a generous mood, don't ask how I know, call it Tavern's Intuition. Go give us a review. Tell me what you liked, disliked, even if you're not too sure what the show's about. Every word helps. Now that'll be it for today's intermissions. You'll suffer no more under the tyrannical thumb of ad breaks. So put your feet up, relax. Unless you've got this on in the car, then do not put your feet up. Let's get you back to the tavern. Order up. One deep fried basket of beastie bits. Yeah, you've got eyes, membrane sheets, even tossed in a couple beaks. Just for you. Yeah, they're the best bit. You dig in, and I'll wrap up today's visit with stories of our last creature for the week, the Ozark Howler, from North American folklore. Over time, this cryptid has been crowned by numerous names. The Ozark Black Howler, the Ho-Ho, the Nightshade Bear, the Devil Cat, Wampus Cat, or even in one unusual account, from 1973, it was even described as a multi-dimensional time traveller. Reports of Ozark Howlers date back to the early 1800s, with one of the most famous sightings attributed to American frontiersman Daniel Boone, who encountered the creature near the Platte River in Missouri around 1810 to 1816. Some folks say Boone shot and wounded the howler, while others insist it escaped unharmed. Whatever happened, it seems the Ozark Howler was left a little spooked, as subsequent sightings didn't pick up till the 1900s. But when they did, these carried on all the way to the 2010s. In the 1940s, it was spotted and described as a screaming cat with horns that liked to chase livestock. In 1982, a hunter reported seeing a horned creature drinking from a spring, noticing that its eyes glowed like taillights. In 2006, campers near a fire saw what one described as a big black dog with antlers. And in 2015, a blurry photo from Devil's Den State Park surfaced. And while officials dismissed it as a bear, locals remain convinced that this is the Ozark Howler. These sightings, along with a documented description of the Ozark Howler, help paint a well-detailed picture of the beast. Some claim it resembles a massive cougar-adjacent object, while others describe a hybrid of a wolf, goat, cat or bear, with a dark shaggy coat, stocky legs, glowing red eyes, and two prominent horns fixed to its head. Adult howlers are estimated to stand 4 to 5 foot from ground to shoulder and measure 5.9 to 6.8 feet in body length. That's nose to tail base, with an approximate mass ranging from roughly around 14 to 22 stone. Which means I can say I weigh more than an Ozark Howler. Its horns, I'm told, typically range between 3.9 and 7 inches long, pointing straight out, forward, and ready for piercing. While other accounts describe them as exhibiting a tight corkscrew-like curvature, similar to that of ram's horns. Ozark Howler bodies, it seems, are built for strength and endurance rather than speed, with stocky, powerful, muscled limbs that provide exceptional stability. Combined with its horns and predatory appearance, it's pretty clear why this creature is seen as a formidable figure across all North America. Now this one's a little easier to track down than our walking chicken hut. Purported to live in remote areas, deep woods, and rugged, mountainous terrain around Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. The Ozark Howler's most defining characteristic is its ability to commune with the dead. No, it's of course its howl, or terrifying vocalization, if you're feeling fancy. Witnesses describe this cry as an unnatural cocktail of a wolf's mournful howl, an elk's bugle, and the deranged laughter of a hyena. Seems almost like the cryptid call was designed to petrify all within earshot. And unsurprisingly, the horrific call easily earned the creature a reputation as an omen of death. This cry spawned local traditions, warning that hearing its howl foretells misfortune or demise. And a handful of accounts go further, insisting that the howl's scream is not only chilling, but physically harmful, capable of stunning or disorientating those who hear it. And it's not just your ears you need to cover. Some lore claims that if your eyes meet the glowing red gaze of an Ozark Howler, you'll be captured in a trance, helpless, while it slowly approaches. Believed to be a nocturnal hunter, It seems Ozark Howlers enjoy a spot of stalking. But when not on the hunt, they're said to exhibit a strong preference for solitude. Rarely ever seen in groups. Not that you'd likely notice a group, but despite their stocky build and bear-like size, many folks say they're surprisingly adept at stealth, capable of moving silently across broken ground and dense underbrush without betraying its presence. And to add further gasp, I've read numerous reports that say howlers are rather adept at climbing trees and scaling rocky outcrops like it's nobody's business. So how can you defend against the horned ninja bear of North America? Well, if you hear the most terrifying sound ever, turn around and leave. Just get out of there. I shouldn't have to say this. Just get up and go. It's also a good idea to avoid any area that's known as stomping ground for Ozark Howlers. And that's pretty much it. I couldn't find much on this one. Its physical appearance shares common traits with regular large predators, so you could try fire, or making yourself look massive, but whether that'll work against a ninja that's also a bear with horns, hey, that's what you're here to help with. And with that, we're finished with our last creature for the week. We've learned that werewolves need dentists too. Human remains make for great insulation. And if you're in North America, that just because you can't see one, doesn't mean there isn't a bear around. And that bell means it's last call here at Creature Tavern. So grab yourself one more drink for the road. And until next time, tread carefully, adventurer. You never know when you might wander into the weird